Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our annual New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame induction. We normally do this in Albany, obviously because of the current situation. We're doing it here back in Bayshore in the district, and I think it's wonderful because when we have these ceremonies up in Albany, there's not nearly as many family, friends, and supporters that can go. They're limited to 2 people, so this is great. And it's also great to be out here on a beautiful day with no mass. And to honor someone who is truly the person to be thought of in the highest regard. We all know him for many years. John McCormick, congratulations on being honored as a Veterans Hall of Fame. We'd like to begin today's ceremony by inviting up grandson Sean McCormick to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, sorry. There you go.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sean. I am going to read John's bio, and it's incredibly impressive and patriotic. And I'll just preface it by saying that of the many veterans that I've had the chance to honor in my time in the state Senate, John was the one that was the most humble and really wanted it the least, I think. Nonetheless, John McCormick was born in Greenport, Brooklyn in 1932 during the Great Depression. The third child of 9 and the oldest boy, they lived in a cold-water flat. His father worked in upstate New York on Lake Champlain, sending money home monthly to his family. At a young age, Mr. McCormick began working for a peddler selling potatoes, onions, and fruit in his horse and carriage. He worked for 25 cents a day. That's lower than minimum wage, I think, even at that time. Plus tips, which are scarce, delivering orders to customers at their apartments. In 1942, he took a job at Thomas Rulston's grocery store as a delivery boy, leaving school at 16 to work full-time as a clerk. At 17, John was inspired to join the military when he saw his friend walking down the street in a sailor's uniform. Initially interested in joining the Navy, he spent 4 months in the yard before deciding to see the Marine recruiter. Due to his age, his mother had to sign the papers, and he began basic training in Paris Island in 1950. While stationed at Camp Lejeune, the Korean War began, and he was on a train to San Diego, and then a ship headed to Kobe, Japan. Loading and unloading ammunition during active warfare in the South China Sea, he spent the next 14 months in Korea. After Korea, he was stationed in Camp Lejeune, Puerto Rico, Ohio, along with the maneuvers in the Philippines. Mr. McCormick returned to Quantico, where he remained for 2 years, doing various jobs, including IBM work and managing the Quantico basketball team. His handball team won the championship in 1959 and proudly still has his trophy. He was in the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force and was ordered to go to Okinawa. Upon his return to the States, he joined the New York City Police Department and was appointed in 1961. He was a patrolman in the 32nd Precinct in Harlem and eventually to the 14th Division as a plainclothes officer. After the Vietnam War, the military found it difficult to get troops to enlist, and the NYPD and the other city units were allowed to go into the reserves. In 1975, John joined the Air Force's Reserves at the age of 43 as Sergeant E4. John retired from the New York City Police Department in 1982. He spent 16 and a half years in the United States Air Force Reserves. His last assignment was superintendent of the 514th Security Police Flight. He attended many schools while in the reserves, including the Air Force Senior NCO Academy. Mr. McCormick retired at the age of 60 as a Master Sergeant E8 in May of 1992. John was selected as, we are selecting him for the 2021 Veterans Hall of Fame honoree, and no one is more deserving. Congratulations, John. I'd like to first welcome, obviously, friends and family and Division II supporters, our servicemen and women. Thank you for your service, as always. And we have a couple special guests to give some additional awards to John. And our first is Steve Castleton, who serves as a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. Steve?
A little shorter than Phil. Duty, honor, country. When Phil and I first started discussing the next inductee into the Veterans Hall of Fame, there was one name that not just came to the top, came so far above everybody else. It was unbelievable. I mean, just hearing about John's story, just talking to him, talking to everybody else about him. A few years back, I was actually civilian commander of 514th Rescue Wing, which shows you how so many things are connected in this world. After I met John, he told me about his time at the 514th, and I called them up, and they're like, the legend? And that's all of them were telling me stories. These are young kids now who were telling me stories about what they learned from him. And the way they said it, it was like a young child talking about Mickey Mantle. And that's how they all felt. They're like, if he gets it, we want to come, we want to come. All right, those of you who don't know, McGuire-Dix Lakehurst from here is about a 3-hour drive. They came in uniform 3 hours to see him. What does that tell you? I mean, I want to thank them all for coming. It just says a lot. It really, really does. When you look at his military career, that he was out and came back, and out and then came back, because he feels he wants to serve, and because he feels he needs to do more. And that's just what blew my mind about him. When we had lunch at the diner, what's the first thing he talks about? Not his military career. He brings his handball trophy. And he starts telling me about everything he does with handball. And you know what? He could probably kick my butt right now in handball. But it's, why me? And that's one of the things to me that always stands out with somebody to me, somebody who's a hero, to me, somebody who's humble. Because somebody who doesn't think they've done enough, doesn't think they're deserving, they're the true heroes, especially in today's day and age where you see everybody doing their selfies about himself, doing, I did this, I did that, I did this. He still feels he didn't do enough. And I guarantee you, if he got a call saying they needed him to serve somewhere, he probably has his go bag packed already and a couple handballs. So it's my honor. Those of you who don't know what military challenge coins are, military challenge coins started in the Vietnam War by the 5th Special Forces Group. And they're meant to give to somebody when you do something exceptional, when you do something medal-worthy, when you do something remarkable. You know what? I mean, John, the coin for you would have to be like a 5x5. But the coin, I have special coins made up, and on the back it fits John absolutely perfectly. The words are duty, honor, country. And you know what? Considering he came from my hometown, what's on the back even fits even better. It's the Brooklyn Bridge. So on behalf of the Secretary of the Army, the Secretary of Defense, and the President of the United States, I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you very much, Steve. And now we have Jim Killen to give a presentation from the Ancient Order of Hibernians.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jim Killen. I'm the president of the AOH St. Patrick's Division II in Babylon Village. And with us today are many Division II members. Also, we're in the military, as well as many past presidents here as well. I really thank, gentlemen, I thank you all for coming out today. And our pipers here, representing the Saffron United Pipe Band out of Division II, is our Pipe Sergeant Bob Farrell, and also U.S. Marine Corps retired James Kavanaugh. Thank you, guys. Now, Jack is a real great member of our division. He's real likable, very committed, and I've spent a lot of time with him lately because on Sunday mornings in the month of May we go out. We have something called the Hibernian Hikers. We get people out of the homes, and John and I spent a lot of time talking about the various things, and a lot of it with his past in the military, which was really very enlightening. And I'm a son of a dedicated World War II veteran who was And Jack, you remind me a lot of my dad of a lot of the stories, so I appreciate it. But I just want to say here to Jack, on behalf of all brothers of AOH St. Patrick's Division II and all brothers nationwide, please accept our hearty congratulations on being inducted into the New York State Veterans Hall of Fame. Your loyal dedication and service to our great country has spanned over 40 years that included service in the United States Marine Corps as well as the United States Air Force National Guard. The men and women who have served with you and those that serve now look up to you as an iconic military figure, and rightfully so. As a Hibernian brother, you exemplify what the Ancient Order of Hibernians stand for, as I know very well that you live our motto of friendship, unity, and Christian charity. By receiving your Veterans Hall of Fame award today, your 89th birthday, only makes this day more memorable and grand. Jack, congratulations, and may St. Patrick, the glory apostle of Ireland, always watch over you and your family. Congratulations.
And now I'd like to bring up Joe Verdicchio, representing the Knights of Columbus.
Good morning. On behalf of our members and our officers here in attendance today, Jack, not only do we want to wish you a very happy birthday, but from the council, your wholehearted and dedicated service to the Air Force, the Marines, the Deer Park community, the Knights of Columbus, and St. Cyril and Methodius Church. This certificate is presented to you as our memento of our gratitude and appreciative of everything you've done. And may God bless you, may God bless your family, and may God bless America. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Joe. Now I'd like to recognize, we have with us today a representative of New York State Attorney General Letitia James' office, TJ Hatter. TJ, thank you for coming. And a colleague in government, a good friend of all of us, the supervisor of the great town of Babylon, Supervisor Rich Schaefer.
And happy birthday. And he didn't tell us it was his birthday either, which picks up on what Steve said about just how humble a man he is. I have to thank Carol DePasquale, where's Carol, who reconnected me with Jack. So the short story is that the McDonald side, my mother's side of the family, and Jack grew up in Greenpoint together. Jack's niece is here, and just talking to her about some of the sites and the stores and the buildings that are still there. She still lives in Greenpoint. And Jack and my Uncle Ed, the oldest of the McDonald children, grew up together the same age. So we've had a spirited connection between us and our families, and I see a lot of the Deer Park familiar faces, whether it's from the Knights or whether it's from the Teddy DePasquale. Oh, by the way, Jack, I know you beat Teddy in handball, right? So Teddy was a Division I wrestler at Hofstra, but I know you kicked his butt in handball, right? And the Downey family and all the others who come from Deer Park, and of course Jim and the Hibernians. I brought my Hibernian mask this morning, which I am very glad to be able to retire and not have to wear it, although it is very nice that Jim provided me with. But that speaks volumes about who you are. But I'm going to tell you a quick story about who he really is, because as Steve said, one of the things that Jack did, and Carol put him and his wife and other senior citizens who were in the Deer Park community who were having tough time getting vaccinations at the outset of the vaccination program. And of course, he wanted to make sure he got that so that we could have him around for another 30 years. What? Come on. You're going to be around long after us. You, Cher, and cockroaches. But yes, and Twinkies, right? But Jack made the call, got connected with me, and wasn't worried about getting his vaccination. He was worried about his next door neighbor, the woman down the block. You've got to help me. And then he converted it into, once I connected him with Steve, because veterans were giving preference in the very beginning, our veterans who served our country. And then Jack went on a tour of collecting as many veterans as he could to make sure that they got their vaccinations as well. And then he got his vaccination. And that speaks volumes about who Jack McCormick is, which is why it's no surprise to me that Senator Boyle and his team decided to induct you into the Hall of Fame here today. Because we can't say thank you enough to all of your years of service to our country, to our community in Babylon. And I'm just grateful I got a chance to really get to know you over these past few months during, and some will say the COVID pandemic brought a lot of misery. In my case, the COVID pandemic brought a lot of greatness in front of me, and it's an honor to know and be able to say I know Jack McCormick. Congratulations, Jack.
Thank you, Rich. And Rich reminded me, speaking about the mask, after law school, I went to become an FBI agent. And I went through the year and a half process, and just before I was about to go to Quantico, they had a hiring freeze, so I never went. So this morning, I'm in the gym, and I realized after being there for about 20 minutes that I was the only person in the gym still wearing a mask. So thank God they didn't hire me for the FBI, because it would have been a lot of unsolved crimes. I'm not very observant. Well, now the moment we've all been waiting for, to honor Jack officially with the presentation and the proclamation. I won't read it because it's lengthy and obviously a lot of the same bio. But as some of the other presenters had mentioned, it's not just the bio that we read and the service that Jack's given to our country. It's what he's done beyond that in our community, the organizations. He's done so much for so many people, even as of recently helping people find masks and get vaccinations. So Jack, please come forward to be presented with proclamation, become Veterans Hall of Fame.
Now I gotta talk. I would like to say first off, thank you for those gracious comments. I appreciate it. And I would like to introduce my wife, Dorothy, sitting here. She's put up with me for almost 61 years, and I don't know how she did it. My daughters are here, Deirdre, Bridget, and Rory. And my son, we call him Sean Moore, but his name is John, like me. And he flew up from Alaska last night. And I want to thank the Hibernians for coming. I want to thank the Knights of Columbus for coming. And I want to thank Father Grace. He has come here, and I appreciate that. And he's standing right here, so. And as I said, I appreciate Rich Schaefer for picking me. I don't know why. He explained why, but I don't know. And then for Senator Phil Boyle for taking it further. So, and Steve Costello, he's the man that really should be standing here, because he does a lot of good work. He's the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. So if you need anything, he's the man to call. And I appreciate the Pipers coming and playing my song. And I got to talk about the McGuire people. When they joined, they were just young guys, 18, 19 years of age, except for Larry Lilly. He was in the unit. He was there for a while. But these guys were all young guys. And I was in my 50s. And you can imagine the fun I had with these guys. And that. But these guys all now got over 30 years. They've been back and forth to Afghanistan numerous times. You have Colonel Gibbs, Mike Gibbs. When he started out at McGuire as an airman, he worked for TWA. And me and my wife, we'd go to Ireland at times, and he would get us upgraded to first class.
You have to take care of the boss. I learned very quickly.
But Mike, he grew in the unit. He became a second lieutenant, and now he's a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force Reserves. But not only that, somehow he was inspired to go into the New York City Police Department. And now he's in there more than 20 years, and he's a deputy inspector. Then we got Mike Fletcher. Sometime he had a loose lip. But Mike's been in the unit for ages also. These guys are all hanging around until they're 60, then they're going to get out. So, and Larry Lilly, in civilian clothes, he was in the unit when I got there, and he was helpful in making the unit a top security police flight. And then we have Victor Dempsey. Victor he came in young also. He grew in the Air Force Reserves, but he became a policeman also. And he retired after his 20 years. And then he's down there as a G12 working with the unit, the 514 Security Police. And now, as we mentioned before, Carol D. Pasquale was the instigator that started this all. And I see a lot of my nephews and nieces here. Patty come down from Connecticut for this, and then her brothers are here. I see Jackie. He's a sergeant in the New York City Police Department. He's been in there for 39 years. And then I see another nephew, Matthew McCormick. He's an inspector out east in the Suffolk County Police Department. And then I see another nephew, Danny McCormick. He spent 20 years in the police department and got out. And there's so many different guys here that were policemen and they were military before that. I don't think I can mention all the names. I don't know if Jack Durkin is here. No? All right. Jack was very sick, and we'll just say our prayers for Jack. And I think that's about all for me. All right. Thank you.
And we wonder why the stereotype of the Irish cop, I think I know why now. Jack's mark really sums him up, right? I mean, here's a man who literally has given a lifetime of service, and he didn't talk about himself in his remarks. He was recognized everyone else, family, friends, supporters, and obviously servicemen. And obviously, Mr. McCormick was the mentor to these guys when they were young, and now they're leaders and longtime service members. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. We just have one more thing to do. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you. Thank you all for coming, and if anybody would like to get some pictures, we can gather here. Thank you so much.